Hello and welcome to the OCC Champs Season 25 recappy thing with me, Cornite, and Danton. Say hello, Danton.
Hey, how's it going?
Woo, lunchtime. And from on my stream as well, rather than Ethelred's, because he's, somewhere. He actually hasn't explained.
We like to confuse people and keep things active.
Yeah, what was surprising to me is that I got pinged. I got what's the word? I actually, there's the bot like messages people about the stream starting and stuff. Well,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure you have to like tell it to do that. And in Trend's server, wouldn't have expected Trend to have ever heard of me. It said that we were streaming, so I assume Trend server is also going to say that we're streaming now.
Right. Oh, you're talking about the Discord bot.
Yeah.
That you set up in people's like streaming channels.
Yeah, exactly. And like for each, like for the one that we use Spike in the Ethelred and Cornite Discord or wherever it is, and in that one you have to tell it which channels you want to ping. Yeah. So I assume someone.
That's supposedly it. The whole Spike bot in Discord is kind of going away in a couple of days, isn't it?
That as far as I know, yeah. Yeah, is the short answer.
The deadline I think that was sort of put out by Discord was end of April, I think. So
yeah, and in fact, Poncho has said the 30th of April is when and @ commands are going to stop working, and it's only going to be / commands that bots can use, which is obviously going to stop everything from working with Spike because.
So it means we're not going to be getting, every time a match finishes, we're not going to be getting those nice sort of match reports.
So we're still going to get the match reports because they don't require, like, they're working and running. The website is going to carry on. The bot will still exist, and the bot can still post things to the channels that it's got access to, right? So we should.
Right. So it's just that you just can't run commands. So
yeah.
But the big problem there is going to be like registering a new season, right?
Yeah, so once the season runs out, there'll be no more adding in new seasons. And in fact, OCC has created future seasons was it OCC or maybe it's UK BBL has created future seasons and has added them to their division, their Discord. So in the hope that it will start pinging, but I think. I think there's a reason why it won't work. I can't remember why, but they've tried it that way.
So it seems that we have been joined by Ethelred.
Hello.
Hey Ethel, how are you?
I'm good. I've only got 9 minutes, and then I've got to go.
9 minutes. Well, thank you for gracing us with your precious presence.
Yeah, Ethelred, you can be my wingman anytime.
Oh, thanks.
Someone been watching a bit of Jimmy by any chance?
No, I haven't. I think it's just the fact that there's the Top Gun sequel is coming out quite soon. It's kind of maybe got that in people's heads.
The closest I've come to a motorbike is I used to have a moped at one point, scooter, I should say, not moped. It was gold. Benson and Hedges gold. It was that colour. It's quite cool.
Okay. The closest I've come to that is probably a BMX.
Nice.
Also, neither of you have ever ridden a proper motorbike. Yeah, interesting.
I've been pillion passenger, but I don't count, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been passenger, but I've never ridden anything that's sort of over, like a small. I don't even know what engine size. Like, does 100 even exist?
Yeah, 100 does exist. 250 is like. What you're legally isn't 250 what you're allowed to do on a learner's license?
I don't think so.
Like
a scooter's 50 cc.
Oh, okay.
They go about 40 miles an hour tops, and then 100 is like a small motorbike, and anything over 250 you need a special license for, don't you?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was in the last year that they gave motorbike licenses to everyone. So, they became a separate test the year after I did my test.
Because I got mine as well, like that way. That's why I couldn't ride a moped without any additional testing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool story.
I mean,
where are you? And where are you? And why do you have to leave in 9 minutes? And 9 minutes is a very specific
7 minutes now.
Yeah.
I'm in Bristol, and I've got to go and donate blood again.
Oh, okay.
Asked me to come in because I got special blood, haven't I, for the people? So.
Why can you elaborate on special blood?
Yeah, I can.
Is this some sort of a Marvel Universe experiment?
No.
He's actually Wolverine. It regenerates itself.
Yeah. I wish it did. I've got A positive blood, right, which means my platelets are universal donor platelets, and apparently there's a shortage. So they rang me up earlier in the week and said we need you to come in at about 1.
All right, so they've got you on speed dial basically whenever
someone on speed dial. Blood. So yeah, I go in, I get hooked to a machine for an hour or so, and they rinse out all the platelets and then put the blood back in.
I can't actually remember what blood type I am, which is obviously really sensible because as soon as something happens, it's obviously going to be critical that people know what blood type I am. But basically, I've been told that I should be donating blood. I mean, beyond the obvious kind of people should donate blood. Because I have too much iron in my blood, and donating blood is
a good way to reduce the iron.
Best way to reduce the iron count.
Now, this is obviously a bit racist, but is it because you drink Guinness non-stop? Is that why you got so much iron in your blood?
We've already veered straight into the Irish racism, and this is your contribution to today's stream, is it? Basically, no. Because I don't live in Ireland currently, and would an Irishman be caught dead drinking Guinness outside of Ireland? No.
Is it? Well, there isn't a great Argentinian version of
Guinness anywhere but Ireland is not Guinness.
Okay. I'm clearly not going to argue that. Although I drank a lot of Guinness in the late 90s, early 2000s. And
everyone goes through a Guinness phase, don't they?
Mostly I went through a Guinness and Tia Maria phase. So I buy shots of Tia Maria and drop them into the Guinness. It tastes lovely.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think Danton's probably calling in horror.
Yeah,
the fact you put Tia Maria into the Guinness.
Although wait, is it better or worse that I'm drinking non-Irish Guinness and putting a spirit into it than which does it make it okay because it's shit Guinness anyway?
If you didn't call it Tia Maria, just call it Auntie Mary, then that's quite Irish, isn't it? Auntie Mary and Guinness, that sounds a bit better, doesn't it?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
To be honest, I mean, I'm completely neutral in terms of how Cornite is abusing his body.
Were you fixing yourself a Black Russian as well, by the way?
No, I rum and coke today.
But it was booze.
Yeah.
So you're already well into the booze.
It takes the edge off the streaming. I
watched yesterday's stream this morning. I thought you did very well.
Oh, thank you. Excellent. Even did a sound check, and this time I did a sound check without mentioning it, which I think was especially impressive.
There's a few things to improve on. Like one is red text on a blue background. I mean, generally not.
You're fine.
You do you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it seems to be quite low quality as well. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I was having issues with
an OBS issue.
Well, yeah, so having issues with OBS killing my computer, or more to the point, OBS whining that it couldn't get enough power to encode videos. So it was it was messing up the stream. So I found a way of fixing that. So I lowered the quality, and I might have lowered it too far, because I've also lowered the frame rate, and the frame rate might have been what fixed it rather than the quality, or it might be a combination of two, but I should probably try upping the quality again. But I'm going to do that later. Hey, Franco, how are you? Cool story, bro. Oh, is that the silence of you just leaving as well?
No, I'm still here.
Excellent.
No, he's there.
Got nothing else to say.
Tom, Tom, you've missed the the daily dose of racism from Ethelred.
Yeah, anti-Irish sentiment from the Brits.
It's not really anti-Irish, is it? It's more
It was
stereotypical.
Just,
it's the stereotypical Irish humour.
Yeah. And what does Franco think about people who drink Guinness outside of Ireland?
Well, he's
Franco
Belgian.
is in Ireland.
He's Belgian for a
he's
start.
Belgian.
He's Belgian living in Ireland.
Well, that probably means he's even more strong on the beer purity laws, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually prefer Belgian beer to Irish beer, so you heard it here first.
Yeah, totally understandable. I mean, Guinness is basically just beer that's been burnt by mistake originally, right? So it's kind of a
Jesus
not
Christ.
really.
Even I didn't go that far.
I mean, like the reason I started drinking Guinness was because I was drinking too much, and I thought that if I drank something that kind of tasted gross, I'd drink less. I don't know what.
Try and pronounce the name of the beer.
That's exactly what I was not doing.
I can say it.
Reinheitsgebot.
Gebod.
Reinheitsgebot.
See,
and Tom's building himself up as well in the gym.
Yeah,
look of it, so.
But you see, there's like alcohol is great. It's a great source of sugar and protein.
Yeah, exactly, protein.
You just have to make sure you drink. You just have to. Oh, sorry. But the Belgians, look after their beer as well, more so than the Brits, right?
Yeah.
Maybe purity laws is not the right. Purity law sounds pretty draconian, actually, doesn't it? Or
I was going to say, let's not. Do you want to go down the purity law German thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing because the really, industrialized beers, I mean, they're not really very good for you and they give you a massive hangover.
Yeah. I totally agree. And what's the wife beater? Oh my God, that makes me so ill. Stella. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, I've drank Stella in years.
Just pure chemical.
I can't drink it. It literally makes me throw up almost instantly. Just some kind of reaction to it. Oh, really? I didn't think about that, but yeah, I like the fruity beers from Belgium. Anyway,
white beer as well is quite nice.
Yeah, a bit of wheat beer.
I've got to go now.
Okay,
that was a good Blood Bowl chat.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? What are you doing today? Champs and 3C.
Champs and 3C, yeah.
Yeah, I mean mainly champs, and then probably see how much time we'll have left.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one important plays in 3C.
When you get back from your blood thing, we might still not have finished, and then you can join in.
Right, well, I'm really about an hour and a half, so yeah.
Maybe not. No, actually, no. Yeah.
Could you while you're sitting there connected to the machine, could you not be on your phone? Participating in the podcast.
Well, to be honest, I could. I get free Wi-Fi. I can take my in fact, I can take my headphones, and I could.
You just need. That's it. You only need headphones.
All right, I'll do that then. All right. I've got to dash now. But
all right, cool. We might speak to you again while you're joined up to the machine.
Maybe I'll join the chat at least anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good luck everyone in your week's games this week.
Cool.
Apart from you, Cormac,
obviously. Well, I already played and lost, so you could have given me the luck a bit earlier.
I tried to will it to you yesterday, Danton. I did enjoy yours and Spider's chat in the channel when you were watching the Vamp game. It sounded awful, but
I hated it. It was not descriptive enough. I had no idea what was going on. I want you to actually say
it was literally just like, look, Snake Eyes again.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go.
Bye. I haven't seen that many ones in a long time. Cheers, see ya.
I mean, it's one of those things that happens to Vamps every so often. They roll so many dice that eventually they get games where that happens.
Yeah, it was just one of those where it was a lot more than you would expect, even with the number of dice that they roll. But I mean, like you say, it happens.
Anyway, talking of actual Blood Bowl and all that stuff, should we actually look at the games that we're supposed to be here for? So we'll start with.
So do we need to actually cover round one?
Yes,
I guess.
So this is supposed to be the round. Look back at round one and then get the points from round one, and also look to the future. Even though 2 of the games have already been played, or 3 even 2. I think 2. I hope 2.
2, I think.
Okay, so we're going to start with The first game was Trunkhead against Kinroth in terms of betting, right? And we've looked
I actually watched, I think, a lot of this game live as well.
Ah, excellent. And what do you remember about the 2-1 win to Kinroth?
Yeah, I mean, Kinroth, obviously, he had a huge guard advantage. There was, I think, the Dark Elves took a wizard, and I'm trying to think what else they took. They definitely had a wizard. I can't remember exactly when he used it, but obviously it wasn't enough. The Dark Elves did manage to get a couple of good removals. The Kinroth had one sort of Mighty Blow tackle blitzer, which had AV7, and he managed to get an MNG on him at some point, I think towards the end of the first half.
Sorry, just saying, looking at the teams, I think that Trunkhead took the wizard and a loner lineman. Because he's got 3 loners and he's up on 12 players, so I think that's the difference.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, basically, Kinroth, controlled his drive very well in terms of just making it very difficult to kind of for the Dark Elves to really threaten the ball a lot with so much guard around, and just gradually, kind of moving up the pitch. There was also a huge blow for Trunkhead in the second half when his only guard piece, he has a move 8 guard blitzer, got killed randomly. It wasn't even a Mighty Blow hit, I think, and it was dead. Apo dead.
Yeah, I just switched over to the spike view essentially because I was going to scroll down and point out that terrible death. Yeah. Really, I mean that's that's bad for Trunkhead's team in general, right? He doesn't have very much special going on his team, and that's both his fastest player and his guard player gone.
And I mean, in the second half, Kinroth very wisely carried the ball quite quickly. He can move the ball to his Edge 5 blitzer because Trunkhead's main kind of threat, he has
was it diving tackle?
Yeah, the diving tackle shadowing blitzer who he kept trying to kind of put next to the ball. But with the Edge 5 leap blitzer, he'd always just kind of leap away from it, and it was very ineffective at pinning down the ball carrier.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kinroth just eventually, he had more numbers and was just able to control things. I can't remember though exactly what happened with the wizard, whether it fizzled or whether it didn't quite achieve what it set out to do. Because obviously that would have been quite a critical moment.
I can tell you there was a lightning bolt and it worked, but I can't tell you much more than that. That's fine.
Oh, actually, no. Actually, I do remember now. So when I tuned in, it was already quite late into the first half. So what I do remember is Trunkhead received first, and basically his drive was already I think it was turn 6 or 7 when I tuned in, and he had lost the ball somehow. And he basically, in my mind, he wasted the wizard trying to kind of, vainly kind of get the ball back, as it were, but without, recover losing a lost ball, as it were. But he didn't really have enough Dark Elves in the area to kind of take advantage of it. So I think he probably would have been better off keeping it for the second half, trying to use it on Kinroth's drive. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how he kind of messed up his own drive or what happened there. And then so Kinroth basically went 2-0 up in the second half because he turned Trunkhead over in the first half, then scored on his drive.
Okay.
And then there was 3 turns left, and Kinroth sort of kind of almost made a half-hearted attempt to. He didn't even defend really. I mean, he just let him get the consolation score.
Yeah. making sure his players are safe and all
so
that.
as not to get anyone else injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember now.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm not sure exactly. I think that an important part of it would be what happened on Trunkhead's drive and how he lost the ball. But yeah, Kinross's team obviously was a much kind of stronger team, generally speaking.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be closer and that the wizard would be the winning thing. So I didn't get the prediction correct.
I was in a similar camp. I went for the draw, kind of thinking that the wizard might, at least make it a draw. But yeah it wasn't enough.
No. So Spider, Nibnan, Galentio, and Dreamland all get points for that game, which I have already added. So we move on to the next game, which is MB Carmack against Kilstad. And
I did watch this game as well.
Oh wow, jeez! Watch all the. That's like
No, I didn't watch all the games. I didn't watch all the games.
I mean, you watched your game, so that's like half the game watched already, right?
And I did see quite a bit of Spider's game as well. So I think the only game I did not see at all was the Raspball against Ant-Man game. So I mean, this one was interesting because MB Carmack actually played the first half almost perfectly. He put the Vamps in to receive. The Vamps, did what they typically do, which is score in like 2 or 3 turns. So he had the rest of the drive, like 6 or 7 turns to score back, and he managed to start getting a lot of removals in the rest of the first half. It was like a deep kick, which Kielstad sent one Vamp through to kind of pressure the ball. Managed to apply a bit of pressure, but MB Cormac was he timed it well in terms of getting the ball forward just in time, and with the Vamps losing a lot of players, they couldn't really stop the score, so he scored back in turn 8. And second half, the Vamps were down 2 or 3 players, and it looked like it would be a relatively comfortable win for the Chaos, although against Vamps, obviously there's always the threat. But then literally, it was a short kick, which I think MB Carmack didn't do a good job of protecting the ball on the short kick, because obviously, just putting a screen up in front of the ball carrier is not normally enough against Vamps. So the Vamps were able to turn him over and counter score, and then another short kick. That basically prevented him from scoring at all in the second half. So even with numbers down, Kielstad just literally on the back of having the kick skill, which I know you're not a fan of, but here the kick skill literally won him the game.
I mean, would the kick have won in the game without the kick skill? And anyway, fine, yeah. I'm not saying it's terrible skill, but I'm just saying it's overrated usually.
The kick skill, I mean, for Vamps in particular, I think obviously kick it kind of has a lot more or less value depending on the race, and the fact that Vamps can put so much pressure on a short kick, I think really raises the value of kick for them. I think what MB Carmack maybe should have done was try and use one of his players close to the LOS to try and pick up the ball and retreat deep instead of using he was carrying on a strength 4 goat. So he based to try and obviously make it so it wasn't so easy for Kielstad maybe to get 2 dice on the ball.
Yeah.
But basically by insisting that he was going to carry pick up on that strength 4 goat, he was putting it well in range of being blitzed. Whereas I think
because it used most of its movement to get to the ball in the first place.
So it moved so by the time it got to the ball, it was kind of out of movement, or only had 1 or 2 squares more it could move. So I think that's the only thing he could have done differently, really, that would have maybe you just needed to get the ball out of range basically and kind of spread the play a bit, and then use his superior numbers to do what he did in the first half. But he couldn't really do that in the second half because the Vamps were just straight away kind of on top of him.
Yeah. I mean, this is almost the matchup that Vamps are built for, right? They love a not too fast, bashy team that they can gaze at the cage and remove the cage.
Yeah, and Chaos had obviously lost their main killer goat, the legendary goat, last game of last season, which would have been obviously a very useful piece for the Chaos team to have to really kind of secure the numbers advantage a bit more than they did.
I mean, 3 Mighty Blow against Thralls, who are claw immune, and the Vamps, are strong and have regen.
Yeah, but it's
so.
I mean, yeah, but claw, the claw palm obviously just gives you a little bit more of a removal kind of potential.
Yeah. But yeah, as good as any team can be at coping with that, Vamps are the one, I think.
Yeah.
One of the ones.
I'm not saying you would have won if you had that piece, but it definitely would have been a useful tool to have in his arsenal.
Yeah. But anyway, in terms of betting, I went for the draw because possibly I don't know. Yeah. I think MB Carmack's actually has become a good coach. I think he's very good now. I thought he might be able to.
I think he. I mean, the first half, like I said, he played it perfectly. I think he did exactly what he needed to do. And I've had a few chats with him as well, and as I know you have on Discord.
Yeah.
And he does often say he knows exactly what he needs to do. It's just that he ends up kind of
losing sight.
Not panning out. But I think literally the only thing. It's also when the first half goes perfectly to plan, that's when I often find you have to be like really careful when the second half starts, because you can kind of fall into a slightly complacent mindset where it's like, okay, job done, this is easy, I just have to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's for the second half, whereas the opponent is often in the opposite mindset, which is like, okay, I need to kind of
concentrate,
pull something extra out, to try and turn this around, and that is where games that appear to be completely won can flip the other way.
It's funny.
Pretty much what happened.
It's like anti-tilt. It's the opposite of tilt, but it definitely is. It's definitely a very much like Blood Bowl is great at working on your mind more. So like when we make loads of assumptions about players based on the team that they're in, and like when it comes down to it, a dwarf runner throwing to a blitzer is the same as any other non-skilled thrower throwing to a non-skilled catcher in any other Agi 3 team. But you tend to assume that a dwarf team isn't going to throw and be kind of more offended when they succeed at it, right? And there's loads of those little kind of isms where we're assuming that because a team is of a particular style, they can't do something, when really it's just 1 point of agility here or there, or 1 point of strength here or there, right?
Yeah, definitely that's a part of it. But also the whole psychological factor of like I said, your perceived sort of status during the match at any given point, right? I'm winning or I'm losing, or and obviously, I mean, you don't go into every game thinking I have to win this game. So you put varying degrees of pressure on yourself depending on the result that you need or that you expect.
And during that, Weblin followed, and there was a very loud ping noise. Hopefully that didn't hurt anyone's ears as much as it hurt mine. But anyway, so Spider, Nibnun, and Dreamland all got a point for guessing that Gallente.
I'd actually bet on MB Carmack because I thought this was the game where he'd turn things around, because he had never beaten the Vamps, having played them 3 times previously.
Yeah, I thought I think we talked about it as well before, and I think he says the right things, and like you say, it's easy to know what's right, but putting it into action is a bit harder, I think, especially like against a good coach. That a good coach is just doing whatever they can do to make your plan fall apart, right? I
mean, especially a coach like Kielstad, who is he's not only unafraid to roll dice. I mean, he is going to roll dice whatever the situation is on the pitch. I mean, he's just full on aggression is the only kind of gear that he knows how to play in. So I think that is also something that can be hard to play against when you know it's coming.
Okay, so we can move on to the next game, which was the one game you have no knowledge of, which is the Raspal against Ant-Man game.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some knowledge in that Ant-Man's team is now 2,230, but for this game, he was like, what, 1,600 or something silly? Is that right? I think it was something like that.
He had three chorfs missing it.
And they were all pretty good ones.
I mean, they were all. None of them were Claw Mighty Chorfs, but they were all kind of guard and probably Mighty Blows down firm-ish, or at least 2 or 3 skills each, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's now 220 and for this game he was 1720, so he was missing 500 TV of player for this game.
Yeah.
That's a fair amount of surely. Let's have a look. So
sure. And I mean, I think it was a draw, right? You're not showing the actual match, are you?
So the actual match was, yes, it was a draw. I haven't got round to it yet, but yeah, I was actually looking at the Spike page to compare the dwarfs that were on the pitch to the ones that were. So he had both his claw chorfs, but and the one with only Mighty Blow, who gained a level since. But so those three were his
and got guard, funnily enough.
Yeah, unsurprisingly. It wasn't a double, so it wasn't claw, so it's guard. But so he was missing Mighty Blow, guard, stand firm, and Mighty Blow, guard, and Mighty Blow, guard for this game.
Yeah.
And he obviously took a Merc Chorf as one of his inducements against the Raspals Pontifices, who were actually they weren't that much. They were only probably. I need to count players for this. Yeah, they were. Oh no, wait. Yeah, no. So they were about 250 TV above. So they were. So I guess that was a wizard and a chore.
Yep.
And it was still a draw. So draw.
Without having seen anything, it sounds like each team sort of basically. Was able to score in its own drive and not give the other team enough time to score back. Although, I mean, obviously the Lizards probably had a decent one-turn option. But yeah, I mean, no idea if that was the case or whether, maybe each team turned the other team over. I mean, who knows?
I mean, the Chorf's got, there's not very many blocks here, but for 29 blocks, the Chorf's got 10 removals. So that sounds pretty hefty. I'm guessing the Lizards maybe it was the one turn that gave them one touchdown, whilst the Chorfs spent the rest of the game removing Lizards. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, funnily enough, so the other game we're going to look at in a minute. So there were 2 Chorf v Lizard games in this round, right? And the other one was the complete opposite of this one. But basically, yeah, I mean, Chorfs, especially Chorfs with Mighty Blow Claw, I mean, they are kind of Lizard kryptonite because not only can they shred Sauruses, that obviously they're going to splat skinks as well. Assuming that the dice kind of do lean in their direction. And if they do lean slightly in their direction, then they have all the tools to cause Lizards a lot of problems. But at the same time, the Lizards still have, strength and speed. And if they can keep players on the pitch, then obviously the game starts to lean more in their favor.
Yeah, and as you can see, the Chorf's got 3 level ups from this game. I'm showing the Spike bot thing. Scored on the Blodge strength up, sure hands, armor bust, hobgoblin. But the Lizards seem to have got an armor bust to one of the Saurus, and scored on Benedictus. Is he already a legend? The strip ball one. So it wasn't. I don't know if it was one turn if he scored.
I don't think he is a legend, is he?
No, he's not. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course. There's this thing. Yeah, yeah. No, he's actually quite far away from 176.
I don't think he's likely to live that long. To be honest, given his kamikaze status and strength 1 double niggle, he's.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, he's survived this long, so I mean,
Survived, scored a touchdown whilst one skink with sidestep, diving tackle, and sure feet died, and another skink got MVP and got move bust in the same game, which probably means skink follows well.
I imagine that Sacker skink Benedictus is he's basically hiding behind the rest of the team for most of the game until he gets given the green light to kamikaze himself in. So I guess it depends how long it takes for that instruction to be given to him.
I mean, I've only played Raspal once when he's had Benedictus, and I have a feeling he kamikazed in like turn 2 or 3. He didn't hide for very long.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Yeah, I don't.
The moment he gets in. I mean, obviously, the other team probably needs to have some tackle or frenzy or something to
I mean, strength 1.
Reliable.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, 3 dice obviously are going to get on him, but 3 dice doesn't always give you. It's not an auto pow.
And I'd take the both down and step on him, considering he's stunty and double niggled. That's plus 3 to the injury element of the foul. That's just ridiculous, right?
You definitely need to step on its head.
Like a 4+ and he leaves the pitch.
Yep.
No, sorry, a 5+. 5+ and he leaves the pitch. A 7 and he's Kaz. I mean, once you get him on the floor, he's probably out of the game, right?
I mean, he's literally the living Blood Bowl embodiment of a kamikaze pilot.
Yeah.
He's flying in there. He knows he's probably going to die, but somehow he doesn't.
And only one person went for a draw, and that was Nibbiden. So Nibbiden gets a point. And he puts him on 5. Equal with Spider and Galentio. And Dreamland. Alright, so that brings us on to the next game, which is, in fact, Nibbiden's game against Spider, which you started, which we could have segued into a bit more brilliantly.
We could have. So this was very much the opposite scenario in terms of removals, where Spider just got all the removal dice, and he kind of dominated this game from start to finish. And Nibbiden really never sort of got into his stride. I think first half he rolled a lot of pushes and both downs and just couldn't remove any lizards. And then obviously, like we said, lizards, if they're keeping their team on the pitch, they're just going to dominate because of their strength and speed. And then second half, I think he did start to get removals, but it was a bit kind of too late to turn the tide at that point.
I remember reading Spider's comments in Discord. It didn't sound that quite that massive, quite that easy a win type thing. But
no, I mean it was kind of a tale of two halves. But I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so no, what happened was it definitely so the Lizards like totally dominated the first half, and the Shorts on their drive, Spider got a blitz, and he really I think to me he overcommitted, so it was a deep kick, and he kind of flooded forward.
Yeah.
And the main way he overcommitted was that he literally burned through his 3 rerolls in the first 3 turns. So he spent nearly the entire second half with no rerolls. But all because he had basically thrown everything into the effort of getting the turnover and going 2-0 up. Now he did have a couple of situations where he just needed to roll, a couple of 2s to score, and he started to roll 1s, sort of dodging away from tackle and stuff like that. So he basically he went in massively, and you know, didn't get the payoff, and Nibbinen started to remove lizards, and you know, he stabilized the position, and then it was like you know, there was nothing Spider could really do to stop the score. But then, interestingly, when it came to turn 16, Nibbinen, so Spider only had like 4 players or 5 players to do the one turn. Nibbinen didn't have enough players to back line. So he kind of, I think his main mistake was that he went for a back line, and his 3 players on the LOS bunched up. And he basically gave Spider the only chance that he had to get a one turn, and the kick went off the pitch. It got handed to his, you know, move 9 skink that only needed 1 push because it's got sprint as well. And you know, if he'd just done like a split LOS and you know, instead of backlining, moved his players up to make it difficult to blitz in from behind.
I mean, it's a sidestep skink, so a split LOS wouldn't have made that much difference, right?
I mean, it still makes it slightly difficult, especially if you can put players behind, right? If you're putting players behind the LOS, they're like diagonally behind, so that you can't just run around.
Yeah, actually, a push denial is the, you know, that kind of.
I think if he'd gone more for that kind of push denial, or you know, especially Spider had no rerolls. It would have made it. I mean, there's no point in backlining if you're leaving a massive hole at the back.
Yeah, true.
It changes nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that was. I mean, I'm not saying it would have been impossible to one turn, but it definitely would have meant more dice needed to be rolled, and you know, it lowered the odds.
So it's decided by the one turn, basically.
The one turn, basically, yeah. That one Spider of the game.
And only 2 people bet on Spider to win, and that was Spider himself, unsurprisingly, and me. So I get a point. Woo. Puts me up to 5. All right.
Yeah.
And that brings us.
I'm decidedly pointless at this point.
I thought I did really badly this week, but apparently, when adding the scores up, I think I didn't do the worst, which is surprising so far. Anyway, so your game against Lasker is the last game that we're going to look at, right?
Yeah, which is like, I have to try and
think back.
Try and remember what yeah, because I've played the round 2 game already. That's kind of fresher in my mind than the round 1 game.
Yeah.
Trying to think what happened.
Can you even remember if you won? No, it's a draw. Yeah.
It was a draw. So I put Lasker in to receive first, and I think he was able to kind of you know, score in turn 8 without a huge amount of difficulty. You know, it was a real cat and mouse kind of game, with him kind of shuffling his pieces around at the halfway line until, you know, making a break forward on kind of turn 7. And it worked out for him. He was able to score relatively comfortably. And then I did score the one turner on turn 8. On my drive, I think I scored after like 4 or 5 turns. I can't remember exactly what happened in terms of my drive, but I think, you know, he was able to pressure me enough that I kind of felt I had to score at one point. And
well, I guess that was on Eamon Silvertongue, because he got your second touchdown.
Yeah, he got the second one. And then, oh yeah, no, I do remember now. Basically what happened in the second half was, so I had like, I think I had a slight numbers advantage. And, but he put his best blockers on the line the start of the second half. So, you know, like the strength 4 one, the stand firm one, and it was a gamble that paid off for him, because I couldn't really, you know, get any kind of anything done with my LOS blocks. I was able to like knock over 1 or 2 of them, but basically I got a bit tangled up on the LOS, and he was able to like really pressure me. right off the bat, and then I had to and he got, he has this really annoying, obviously, killer blitzer who, it's not, I mean, it's kind of a mix between, like, it's mighty blow tackle, but also diving tackle shadowing.
Yeah.
And which, I don't like the combination because it's basically means you're putting your killer piece in harm's way quite often. But obviously, I mean, at the same time, if it works out, then it's a piece that can apply a lot of pressure.
I wonder how many of the SVP have come from standing next to someone who couldn't dodge away and couldn't really get a good hit back, and so he gets to hit, more targets that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's going to happen more against like agile teams, than bash teams, right? But anyway, he was able to kind of get him next to my ball carrier, and I had to kind of scramble a bit to get away from him, and that gave him an opportunity where he was. So I had to actually transition the ball there from Eamon to Brian.
Yeah.
And he was able to kind of dodge around my screen and get a blitz on Brian and take him down. But the next turn. So one thing that he still had one movement left with his really annoying legend ball carrying blitzer.
Okay, yeah.
It's a really annoying piece because it's like a real vanilla piece that's only ever rolled normal skills, but it's the sort of piece that it needs 3+ for everything, but it rolls 3+ for everything. You know what I mean?
I mean, it needs 3+ for everything, but it has built-in rerolls for most of them. So
it has a million built-in kind of rerolls for everything it needs to do, and yeah, it just seems to obviously work out. But one thing he didn't do after sacking Brian, who got KO'd as well when he sacked him, was he had one more movement where he could have tried to pick up the ball in a tackle zone, which I was surprised he didn't do. He just sort of left him parked next to the ball, because then next turn I was able to engineer getting Eamon in to retrieve the ball, and basically got him into a position where he still could be blitzed, but not by tackle. And he got a 2D blitz on him, re-rolled it, couldn't get the yellow, or actually he blitzed with a wrestle piece, he couldn't get the both down either. And then I was kind of forced to score at that point because there was just no way to kind of keep the ball safe. So the second half was like, it was this kind of scramble. So it was never an orderly drive because he was able to put so much pressure on me. That kind of felt that, okay, I have to go in now and see if I can, at least stop his score. And then I thought actually I'd done a really good job defending against him in his second drive, and I definitely kind of was able to put a lot of pressure on him, and he still managed to get a sideline cage in scoring range on turn 16. But I was able to really kind of pin him in against the sideline and kind of cut off most of the rest of his team. But then I think I made a slight error maybe where I tried to dodge alignment away from one of his Berts, one of his Bert linemen, to kind of help solidify that kind of screen. And he failed the dodge, and that Bert lineman was able to make 2 GFIs to kind of provide an assist that gave him a 1D, and that 1D was a POW, and he kind of just had enough to be able to make a small gap where he could dodge backwards and round. I mean, in the end, he had to with that really annoying blitzer, he had to make 2 dodges past tackle with no rerolls, which he made, and that was enough for him to equalize right at the death, basically. So slightly frustrating that I thought I'd kind of done enough. But just the dice said differently.
Hey, a draw's not bad though, right? Is draws acceptable?
No, it's solid result. Yeah, I mean, I had a lineman killed, but I mean, that's what linemen are there for. And I managed to do. I don't think I managed to do any damage to his team. But yeah, it was an okay result to start the season. I mean, it was one of those games where, if you look at the teams in the division, I think Lasker's was, especially because he has 2 rookie blitzers, as well as the 2 legendary ones, and his team looked like it was beatable. And so slightly disappointed that I didn't manage to get the result, but at the same time, like you say, a draw is not terrible.
Cool. All right, and the only people who bet on a draw was Nibbenen and Spider, which puts them even further out into the lead. Annoyingly, which is damn it. Now with the way it said red on blue, I'm kind of like noticing it's actually not the red on blue that's hard to read. It's the red on the messy background. Anyway, whatever. I might put a box behind the numbers. Whatever. So next week or the coming week, 2 or 3 games have already been played. Or is that right? So the Kinroth versus Kilstad game has been played.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and avoid looking at the results, even though there has been a noticeable spoiler while I've been clicking around so far. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, so you don't want to talk about the game? You want
no. Save it for next week. Yeah. I don't want to. Oh, did you watch it? Go on then.
Yeah. I mean, so this is the game that Spider, Nibbenen, and I were all commenting on live.
Oh, the billion ones for Kilstad.
This is the billion ones. I mean, there were even a couple of snake eye rolls for Kinroth, but there were a lot of ones for the Bams.
Yeah, 45. I mean, to be fair, that's not that far away from the other dice, but it is more. Yeah.
It was the fact that the ones were just coming in clumps.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can roll a million ones, but if they're kind of, interspersed and you have team rerolls and things that, and also ones obviously on armor rolls are normally a good thing if they're for you. But yeah, it's the ones coming in pairs that tend to screw you, especially if you're an agile type team.
Yeah, I mean, for an Agi 4 team, this 60% pickup and 70% dodge and 44% catch is and a failed lightning bolt. That's there's some clearly a lot of failure going on in these dice, right?
Yeah, although the lightning bolt was for the high elves.
Oh, was that the high elf failure? Okay.
So but when by the time he used the lightning bolt, he was already like 3-0 up. I think. I mean, it literally made no difference.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, that the high elves also had a slightly above average number of ones.
Yeah, they definitely did. They did roll a couple of snake eye rolls. Finally, I mean, we were even laughing because the second half, the kickoff event was double one. It was it was a free bribe for both of them. So it's just like the ones were just kept coming. It was like an avalanche of ones.
Well, I noticed none of the bribes failed. There were 5 bribes by the looks of it, and they all succeeded.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of fouling.
Okay.
Especially Kinroth had a dirty player. So yeah, we have ended up talking about it.
Yeah.
There's MB Carmack.
Hey, MB Carmack. Or Carmack. Carmack just is what he wants to be known as.
Carmack without the MB.
Yeah.
Is that because he's trying to stress that he's not a dirty bash player?
It's his name. So Carmack is what he gets known as, and MB is another part of his name which he doesn't get known as very much. So
yeah,
it's not actually Mighty Blow. Yeah, and Danton has played as well. He played yesterday. Yeah. All right, so yeah, let's ignore the spoilers. Should we go on to the next game, which is Ant-Man against Pillars against Trunkhead? Ant-Man. Oh no, so yeah. So yeah, Ant-Man is the Chorf team that now has 6 Chorfs after having a game with 3 Chorfs.
Yeah, Ant-Man's team is looking pretty horrific.
Yeah, 250k in the bank. Like he was on 170 before. Like 250 is the point at which you have a lot of spare cash, right? You've got to spend it on something, haven't you?
I mean, I think you've just got to burn that cash, don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the point in holding on to it? I mean, you're just giving your opponent free inducements.
Yeah, I mean, so his actual TV is is 2130 really, because 100k of that is 100 of the TV is the cash, right? So, but he's playing Trunkhead, who is one of the lowest TV teams in the division.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no point in him giving him an extra 100k on top of everything he's getting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I would just burn that cash off. Just buy a couple of hobgoblins and fire them, and or buy cheerleaders and fire them, whatever. But it's pointless to keep that money.
Buy and fire the Apo twice, or fire and buy the Apo twice. Yeah. But yeah, I guess even with a wizard and a ton of other inducements, is Trunkhead still in trouble?
I think so. I mean, I think everyone has bet on Ant-Man here, except for one person who's gone for a draw, who is you.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to point out. I mean, I did this without really looking at the teams or thinking. I was just like randomly clicking on stuff. So
I mean,
I might change my mind now.
It is really stacked in the. I mean, Chorfs are already a natural counter for Dark Elves. But the fact that there's so much TV difference, I mean, it gets to a point where the Dark Elves sort of run out of good things to spend money on. I mean, I guess, what is the actual TV difference? It's about 600, is it?
Assuming he spends his money, yeah, it's 500 and 550. So obviously a wizard means he's got 400 left to spend.
Wizard means 400. You could take Eldril for 200, which leaves you 200 more.
And with that, I'd buy.
It depends if you really want to go like full on for the win, or if you just kind of want to play for a draw and survival. So you have the option there of, I mean, you could take so Merc linemen cost 100. You could take a couple of Merc linemen. Or like one Merc lineman and two babes or something like that.
I mean, with the wizard, I'd go for Merc lineman, but give one of them or possibly both of them dirty player rather than Eldril. Just because Eldril's not going to last very long anyway, and he's a lot of TV. He might.
I think Eldril is the better choice if you really want to go aggressively for the win.
I mean, he's the only star player I think is acceptable in this matchup, because every other star player is just going to get clawed off the pitch. Actually, he's not got piling on. He's not got piling on, so it's not that bad.
No, he doesn't have piling on, but he just has so many pitch control tools. I mean, he's got so much stand firm as well that's a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, you could go like a dirty player Merc with a bribe, but I don't know. I mean, it's got 15 players on the Chorf team. I mean, I don't know if a dirty player is going to make a big dent in that.
Yeah, no, I was purely thinking about him having piling on and then being able to foul piling on players.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just.
I think I'd rather have that. I mean, get a Merc, so that if you're taking Eldril, then a Merc and Eldril gives you 13 players. And you could either take an extra Apo or a couple of babes just to try and keep more players on the pitch.
I think once you're being Claw, Mighty Blow. Actually, no, it's Pom, isn't it? Maybe babes all right. I'm not a fan generally of babes or extra Apos, but
I mean, two babes means that it kind of means that you're very high odds of getting at least most of your KOs back on the pitch, assuming your players do get KO'd instead of
killed. I mean that's the thing. So with Claw Pom, it's more likely they get Kaz than they get KO'd. So babes are even less useful against real kill teams. But no piling on, I think, changes the maths to make it more, more favourable, more likely that there are some KOs. But I do just generally hate the babe choice because of it requires KOs.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, babes are kind of useful when you have spare cash that doesn't really, that can't really be spent on anything much better.
Yeah.
They can, and I have seen games where they can make a huge impact.
Yeah, but it's unlikely generally, is what I'd say.
Yeah, but I mean, I really, I lean towards that anyway in this matchup.
I'm going to stick with the draw in the hope that Trunkhead manages to drag this out into a removal with the wizard and score.
Well, also, I mean, a huge fireball can like cast a couple of chorfs and make the ball free, and I mean, obviously you can't rely on that, but
it's a possibility.
It can happen.
Yeah. There are dice in this game. Trunkhead could win the dice to win.
Yeah. Carmack says he will melt. And it's quite likely, although if he he can get 13 players quite easily with inducements and have a couple of weapons. So
13's not that many though.
I wouldn't, but I wouldn't write him off.
No. It is frightening having 160k of your TV being dodged, which is almost entirely negated by the tackle that's all over this team.
And he lost his only. Oh no, he's got another guard piece. He's got a lodge guard lineman.
Yeah.
But yeah, he lost it. He lost basically his best blitzer.
Yeah, it's kind of scary with the two witches as well. Trying to find non-frenzy traps in this collection of horrible guard players.
Yeah. Especially, I think our man has 3 or 4 stand for him, which is just really annoying to deal with.
It's interesting though. So at least Trunkhead has some jugs, so he can negate the stand firm if he gets the chance to. Yeah,
although having the frenzy means that you're negating the stand firm, but you're forced to follow, which isn't always what you want to do.
Negating the stand firm, but it might result in you pushing yourself into the middle of a bunch of chores, which may be. Yeah.
Although I guess it's good. It's good to have the option of just not using Juggernaut. Well, no, actually, you can't. I think in the game. So basically, when it comes to a push, so obviously a push as opposed to a both down, I think it doesn't it negate stand firm. You can't kind of say don't use this to.
That's the same. That's the same in the tabletop. It's not an optional skill to turn off wrestle, stand firm, or what's it? It's a must-use skill. What is optional is you can choose not to turn a both down into a push.
Yeah. You can choose exactly. You can choose to either take the both down or make it into a push.
I'm pretty sure. I don't have my LRB rulebook easily to hand, but I'll double check. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that jugs.
Definitely in Blood Bowl 2, you definitely don't have the choice to kind of say no. Actually, I don't want to move stand firm.
Yeah,
you will move stand firm if it's a push.
Carmack says, by the way, it's a dice game and things can happen. If you had your last money in the world, would you bet anything other than the Dark Elves melting? But
probably not.
Like even melting their elves, they can still win. It's not impossible. Getting a draw out of this game is definitely doable for the elves with a wizard, and it's like you can roll dice to get a win, let alone roll dice to get a draw. I think, but we will see.
Yeah.
It's a high TV Chorf team where a lot of the TV is probably just going to sit on the bench and not do anything. Anyway, so the next game, in fact, is MB Carmack's game against Spider. That's not one that's been played yet, right?
No, hasn't been played yet.
Still no claw on this Chaos team, which against Lizards is probably a bad thing.
It's not ideal, especially against Lizards that are kind of quite beefed up like Spider's team is. So yeah, I think. If you look at the betting already, only one person has actually not bet on Spider winning, and that was Ethelred, who has gone for MB Carmack. Now, I think just like Carmack said, this is Blood Bowl. Weird things happen, but if you were again in that scenario with the last cast that you have, I think. Most people would use that to bet on Spider because everything is in his favor in terms of the matchup.
Yeah. As Carmack He says it's on Saturday evening. Also, he says, which I assume Carmack will be streaming. He also says, I'm going to struggle to outbash the Lizards and probably can't stop them scoring if they want to. So, you know, that's basically the problem, isn't it? Like,
I don't know if he will be streaming, actually, because I did ask him if he was going to stream the game against Kielstad, and he said he wasn't because he didn't want the additional pressure of playing on stream.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, you know, it'll
So,
be the same thing.
Only streaming CCL now. Is that the case, Carmack?
We actually, Carmack, we did actually talk. If you look at the VOD, afterwards, we did talk quite a bit about your game against Kielstad.
Yeah.
So you might find that interesting.
Yeah. Danton watched. Good replay.
No, I watched it live.
Oh, you watched it live. Yeah, okay. But in Cabal Vision, I take it, not on this stream because he wasn't streaming. Yeah. Don't mind the pressure. I mind the distraction. Yeah, like streaming games. Like I keep thinking about streaming games a bit more, but I 100% notice how much worse I play when I'm streaming, and I find that it irritates me too much to do it. Basically. But this game I'd be kind of more inclined to stream because I think you're in such a bad position that it can't possibly go wrong. You know, it can either you're losing and that's kind of expected, or you're winning and it's a surprise, right? Oh yeah, Spider will be playing anyway, right? So Spider will be streaming it. So that's another thing. So you can watch Spider instead.
Yeah, that's true.
So next game is.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think that's overwhelmingly it's in Spider's favor, but as we know, that doesn't guarantee anything.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, it's Blood Bowl. Dice can change everything. A good choice or a slight mistake from one.
Even if you look at the spike odds, I don't think I've seen spike odds that kind of in someone's favor in a while.
Yeah, the spike odds are a bit excessive. At 1.66 for Spider against 2.51, which probably that's probably slightly so there's the coach stats in there, and Spider's got some pretty good coach stats, I think, and also the racial matchup. And I think generally most of the spike bot racial stats come from lower TV games, which is where Lizard men tend to dominate, especially against Chaos, who are a bit shit. So yeah.
Okay, next game.
When it comes to Carmack says, when it comes to Trunkhead, there's no chance. When it comes to him, Carmack, do not ever write me off. All right, so next.
And I mean, it's fair to say that Carmack. I mean, his team is lacking claw, but it still has a lot of good toolbox skills, right? I mean, he's got I think 3 tackle players, at least one of them with Mighty Blow. He's got a tentacles player, which I mean, it's move 4, but if he can park that next to a skink, then it's got stand firm as well. It can obviously cause problems.
It's a high agility Beast of Nurgle. That's what that is, with block.
Yeah, I mean, he's got tools, right? He's got quite a bit of guard. He's got a couple of blodge players himself. I mean, definitely, he's got even the dirty player can maybe do something. I mean, he's getting some inducements, I think, right, as well.
Yeah, we didn't actually mention that, did we? But, so yeah, there's 300 TV of inducements to go in this game.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see a wizard and a bribe chucked in there. Maybe like an extra Beastman body or something, and definitely they can do some work. So, like he said, you can't write him off in this at all.
I'd prefer more bodies rather than the bribe, just because you got that backup of, if you're losing players, an extra body is helping you, whereas a bribe, it may not help.
You can probably afford to get wizard, bribe, and 1 extra body, right?
Not quite. Well, I mean, he'd be spending his own cash.
But he's got a bit of cash, doesn't he?
I'd imagine does he not want to buy another? Actually, maybe he buys another player. He can buy a 12th Beastman.
Right.
Would that be a choice? Yeah, going up to 12 men. That's the sensible way of getting an extra body, and would also.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, he's saying he wasn't being serious. I mean, it's definitely a matchup where you have some chances, especially if you remove a couple of pieces from lizards. If they lose, especially if they lose a couple of sources.
You're just getting excited by the idea that Sundrop might actually die in this game.
Nah, this isn't. Yeah, I mean, fouling Sundrop, obviously, that could be a good way to kill him.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely not a walkover.
No, yeah. I mean, this level, no one's a walkover, right? Even when I do think that coachability kind of has a bigger effect than the team matchups or the TVs and stuff. And at this level, everyone's a good coach, so I think it kind of nullifies the differences between teams. Like, you're more likely to have a dwarf Amazon game be massively in the dwarf's favour when it's bad coaches than when it's two really good coaches, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, good coaches typically, know how to kind of mitigate some of the things that are going against them in the matchup, right? They know how to kind of play around.
And also when to roll more dice and when to roll less dice, and I think that's the key thing, right? Yeah, and the tempting niggle of Sundrop. Just get him on the ground and then stamp on him.
Well, definitely it's the most reliable way to get rid of him is, if you've got, I think, has he got Rackle on a Beastman?
He does indeed.
Beastman with Rackle.
He's got one of his tackles, Rackle, yeah.
Yeah, a Beastman with Rackle, who's blitzing at strength 4, so it still needs 3 assists to reliably get it down, but with 3 assists, Sundrop is very likely going to be on the floor. So if he gets slightly isolated, then kick him in the head.
And he'll be on the floor, surrounded by 3 assists already, right? So even more reason to foul. Anyway, moving on. Lasker against Raspel is the last game that's not been played. We're not going to look too closely at your game against Niblin because it's already been played yesterday. So Lasker against Raspel, they both got full teams, if I remember rightly. So Lasker is going to be getting a bit of inducements. You didn't do any damage to him in your game, right?
Yeah, nothing.
So Raspel's down to 11 players because of the move bust on Skink, but could buy a 12th to. I think that's not a terrible idea. Like, he's 110 TV down.
He's in a bit. Yeah, I mean, he's in a rebuilding phase, right? He definitely needs to get his rookie blitzers. I think he should try and focus more on carrying the ball on his rookie blitzers than on his annoying legend ball carrier, or at least, I mean, because Burt blitzers have catch, they're actually fairly reliable to kind of hand off to at some point. And I think he needs to be kind of focusing on at least getting them blodge to make them a bit more useful.
I mean, at least one of them's 1 SPP away from
try and vanity pass with it at the start of a drive.
I mean, the trouble is, vanity passing against lizards with some.
If it's a deep kick where you can kind of afford to try it for 1 turn, but for sure it's a little bit risky.
Raspel's missing his only diving tackle, so kind of safer than usual, I guess, because he's not going to be skink basing with his other skinks necessarily.
I think generally speaking, Burts are a reasonable matchup against lizards. But yeah, the fact that he has those 2 rookie blitzers, obviously is a little bit goes a little bit against him. He's lacking a bit of tackle.
I mean, part of the reason that Burts do quite well against lizards is because Dauntless and
exactly
being able to actually punch and
they tend to have a reasonable amount of guard as well. I mean, he's got a strength 4 blocker as well, so he's got some tools to deal with lizards. And a dirty player to, especially always. I think what's critical in the lizard man matchup is if you can remove. I mean, a lot of people say focus on the skinks, but I prefer to try and focus on the Sauruses, especially if you have a dirty player, because they're quite high odds. If you can kind of isolate Sauruses and sort of foul them out, then you start to the sort of imbalance starts to go in your favor in terms of bodies, because they really need those strength 4 players on the pitch.
I mean, all the lizard players are kind of expensive. Even the skinks are 60k for a starting piece. That's so just part of the reason that people talk about aiming for the skinks is they are easy to remove and they're kind of expensive. So every time they lose a player, it has a big effect on what the lizards can manage.
And
right?
plus, most lizardman coaches are going to be shielding their skinks, especially in the early stages of a drive. But if you're getting free kind of blitzes on skinks with mighty blow tackle pieces, then typically we want to take them, right? Because if you can also remove all of their skinks, then suddenly it makes it very hard for them to actually handle the ball at all. So I mean, there isn't only one way to play against them, and it's very relative on the situation as it kind of unfolds, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. Stunty is a pretty likely way of leaving the pitch, and Stunty double niggled for this wrestle guy.
Oh yeah,
it's just he's definitely worth fouling. I bet. Yeah, all the others are worth trying to get to be removed, right? For a drive.
I mean, I played against this team, Raspel's team, the last time I was in Champs, and I managed to beat him, basically because I managed to get 2 or 3 sources off the pitch, and that really kind of shifted things in my favor.
And you're the only person who thinks that Lasker is going to win this game, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I've gone for a draw along with Ethel and Galentio, and Spider, Nibden, and Dreamland have gone for a lizard win. Which may just be, Spider might just be being, lizard friendly. But
I mean, definitely, I don't think Lasker is favored, but I don't know. I just got I'm not doing well in the betting, so I'm doing a core night where I need to kind of go against the grain.
Try and high roll,
but I have a feeling that this is a game where there could be a surprise.
Yeah, it's entirely plausible. All right, so we're done. Yeah.
Just 1 second. Inducements, how much is he getting?
So if the lizards stay as they are, then Lasker is getting 110k, which I am pretty certain would be a bribe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got enough money. He could even spend a little bit of it, but I don't.
He could maybe take another lineman.
Maybe, yeah. Is that worth it? 13 against 11. What I think I would do is, if I was Raftable, I'd be buying another player anyway, so I'd be getting another skink. He's got enough money. He's on 11. I like having 12.
Doesn't need another. I think the Birds are fine with 13. But yeah, I think a bribe could get a lot of work done.
Yeah, I think Lasker will want a bribe, whatever. Which is why if I was Raspel, I would buy another lineman, because what is Lasker going to do with 170k that he can't do with 110k? And I guess he could spend a bit of money to buy.
You could go for a wizard, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, he's on 110. If he really wanted a wizard, he'd get a wizard anyway. If he's on 170, is he going to go for a wizard and a bay? Like, I don't see it being much worse to have a 12th player, and having a 12th player is such a good security blanket of just a random loss. Which random loss. Most teams lose a player at some point in the game. So yeah.
Yep.
Obviously a bribe is the most likely outcome, but I'd be buying another skink, and also the skink got movement bust. So and hello Ethel on text. I assume.
So Ethel is the blood literally leaving your body as we speak.
Yeah, are you typing with the arm that's linked to the machine, or
are you starting to feel faint yet?
Yeah. Are you just doing it for the biscuits?
Yeah, for all of our listeners, he's donating blood, apparently. I mean that's what he told the wife.
Anyway. I think he said he's going at 1 o'clock, so I think this might be him. He's finished, or he's sitting outside having donated blood, would be my guess. because they're usually pretty quick about hooking you up and stealing your life force. But anyway, that's all the matchups.
So you don't want to mention my game at all. You'd rather leave that for next week.
I mean, you played it already, right? We can do, but you're playing against Nibelung. What was your TV going into the game? Do you remember? Was it the same? Was it about 1790?
So, funnily enough, so he had lost 2 chorfs against Spider. He had actually one of his better chorfs, not one of the 2 killers, but he had like a level 5 chorf killed against Spider, and he had another one who was armor busted, I think, but a rookie that was armor busted. So he had just enough to rebuy 1 chorf, which he did just before the game. So I had an interesting choice where I had exactly 150 TV difference. So I could have gone for the wizard, which is not what I did. I basically bought an extra lineman myself to go to 12 players, and I actually bought an extra Appa. So I wasn't prioritizing trying to win the game. Before the match, my mindset was like, I'll take a draw. But obviously, if I can get an edge and go for a win, I'll do that too. So, if I'd gone for the wizard, I think I would have been in a different mindset where I was going kind of full on to try and get the win. But with 11 players against his 2 claw bombers, I kind of felt that wasn't a good idea.
I see. I think the opposite. I think generally, if you're against the kill team, you want to make the game about the ball, right? So having a wizard,
well, you say that, but then and then I put him in to receive first, and his first 2 blocks badly hurt 2 linemen without even using piling on.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I was kind of forced to use an extra Appa almost immediately. So I mean, yes and no, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But how did it go in the end? We will wait to see for next week. I think we'll leave it there. Although Carmack says very interesting match.
We can talk about it next week.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully before you've played your next game. But let's have a quick look at 3C. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is Ethelred's division. God, words are tough sometimes. The rum's kicking in,
especially with rum and coke coursing through your veins.
Yeah, makes me a lot more relaxed. So I, don't worry about all the stupid things I say. Anyway, so I think there's a game been played, but there we go. We're not gonna be too precious about the last week's scores. We're going to go through this a bit quicker. So Balls to the Waller, BB3 delayed to 2023 versus Beauty in the Leap. Kislev against Chaos. Looks like the Chaos had the ball for almost the entire game, which suggests probably some removals maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if obviously we're going to talk about the batting in a minute, but Balls to Waller is he's quite an experienced, but I want to say bash coach, because I think he plays mostly undead, but this is, it doesn't surprise me that he was able to kind of control the flow of the game.
Oh yeah, and he's Nurgle, not Chaos. I said Chaos a second ago.
Yeah, he's Nurgle this time around. Yeah.
38 blocks against 19. I mean, I can understand not going for too many blocks when you're Kislev. I mean, Kislev are kind of it's a horrible matchup for them, right? Oh, and also the Kislev were down TV enough to also get Silly Billy and Hemlock. So that's a good 400 TV of injury. The Kislev went into this game on 1190 with almost no skills on their team against a Nurgle team.
Yeah, which is pretty horrific.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Nurgle team are not claw, don't have a claw bomber yet, but they do have a Mighty Blow claw player who got the MVP, as well as scoring a touchdown, as well as one Kaz.
Plus, I mean, it's a sort of matchup where the Beast of Nurgle can do a lot of work as well.
Well, it's a sort of matchup where a Nurgle warrior scored one of the touchdowns. So
that tells you that probably were not a lot of Kislev players left on the pitch at that stage.
Yeah, there must have been a certain amount of control going on for Game, the number 3 Nurgle warrior, to be the touchdown scorer. But yeah, Beast got 2 for Kaz. Another Nurgle warrior got 2 for Kaz. Another Pestigore got 2 for Kaz and leveled. And the Claw Mighty block got 10 because of the MVP. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing Kislev in CCL this season, and yeah, they're painful.
I mean, and this is one of the worst ones. Like the fun thing about Kislev is once you've got a guard player who can leap in easily, and you've got a player who can sack without too many dice, and then getting the ball away.
The player who can, so I have that on my CCL team, but you know you're still rolling 3s for the sack normally, and yeah, I mean it's the sort of thing where you always feel it's kind of it's all or nothing, you know, when you're going in for that play, well, against certain teams. But yeah, I mean they're still they're a fun team to use, but definitely.
I mean, I did start my description by saying the fun tactic is to do that. In reality, I believe that Kislev win more often the least number of leaps they can make. So if you can avoid doing any leaping, then that is the best way to play Kislev. And against Nurgle, you want to be getting the ball and running away, and Nurgle really make that hard as well. That's the problem.
It's the threat of the leap, right? But at the same time, they definitely. I mean, it's a tool in their arsenal that they still need to make use of, right? I mean, I find the problem with having leap on everyone. The main problem is that there's no way to get built-in rerolls for leap, right?
Yeah, so no, 100%. That is the worst thing.
It's the big kind of reroll consumption aspect of Kislev. But I often find, you know, when I try and play a turn with Kislev, it's like, okay, I mean, there's obviously the safe moves first kind of general paradigm, right, of Blood Bowl. But I think it really applies to them, where you can often kind of do a lot of safe moves first, and then start leaping players sort of towards the end of the turn, where you're quite happy to let the leaps fail if they do.
Yeah, and it should also be mentioned that Kislev are I think the team where players die the most because of having literally no built-in defensive skills, and most of the players being Strength 3 and Agi 3. They just die like
plus,
such a surprising amount.
Your best players are, you know, Strength 2, Armor 7, which also is, you know, is not great for their survival. I mean, they can obviously, you know, gain SPP quite quickly because it's quite easy to score with catchers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get them to blodge quite quickly, but obviously once you start getting it high TV, blodge ceases to really be that good of a protection as well.
Yeah, and so you got a point for this game, and so did I, and Niblin also got a point because we all realised that Nurgle are a horrific matchup for Kislev. Sorry to Spider and Galentia who went for a draw, and Ethelred and Dreamland who went for the Kislev. Anyway, next game is Eldrire. Okay.
With that.
Sure. Against Overlord ARG or ARG.
Who's
Argentinian.
He's actually Argentinian. Yeah, he played last season in our Argentinian league. I brought him over, but I think he played just the one season and dropped out.
Because the quality was too high. The quality wasn't high enough.
Obviously, it was
too many more games.
Know, maybe he was playing in too many leagues. I don't know. But
maybe he finds it easier to schedule European time than he does, you know, local time. It's a possibility.
Maybe he's kind of more invested in his OCC team because he's had it for quite a few seasons now. So I mean, you know, maybe he just wanted to prioritize that.
Yeah, fair. And Eldrire, if you prefer, or Eldrire 1-0 with Chorfs against Orcs. I'm imagining an awful lot of blocks here. 59 to 51. Jesus Christ. This screams two teams meeting on the LOS and punching each other for 16 turns, and only one of them managing to get past the halfway line.
I mean, again, this is a case where matchup-wise, right? I mean, the Chorfs typically. I mean, you have to look at the state of the two teams, right? But typically, they have an advantage, especially if they have a couple of claw pieces.
I mean, this is tier 3, right? So there probably isn't that much. Oh, there's two claw Mighty Blow players on this Chorf team, and a Mighty Blow Bull Centaur, which is and an Agi 4 Hobgoblin as well, which is pretty good for the Chorf scoring ability. Whereas the Orcs, have a small scattering of guard and Mighty Blow and tackle, but.
I mean, Orcs are fantastic at low to mid TV, but once you get to high TV and you're starting to face teams like this, it starts to get a lot more challenging, right? Especially if they start to lose developed Black Orcs, then it turns into a real struggle.
I mean, I think this is actually a sign of how good low TV Chorfs can be, because this Orc team, I guess maybe there's a lot of players. That's the problem. 13 Orcs. And it's 1500 TV. That's like, this team does not look like a great 1500 TV team to me.
Well, it's right. So Black Orcs, they're basically all rookies, are they?
The Black Orcs actually all have block. No, sorry, three of them have block, and one of them died. The one without block.
Yeah.
But compare that to the Chorf team.
At this level, you really need your Black Orcs with at least block and guard. Because you need them to help you to kind of dominate the blocking. But without guard on them, it just gets a lot harder.
I mean, this looks to me like a fairly lackluster 150 Orc team.
Yeah.
Where just Chorfs don't take so few skills to be horrific. Two doubles,
Chorfs are easy, Blood Bowl easy mode.
Yeah.
Basically. Every team. I mean, to me, they're the best team in the game. Basically, almost. Well, maybe not at like 1000 TV, but once you get above definitely above 1500, I think they're because they're just so they literally have everything. They're so versatile.
They're great at the majority of TVs that Blood Bowl is played at, I think.
Yeah.
So from like 13 to 1400 up until 1800, which is pretty much 80 to 90% of your Blood Bowl playing if you're in a long term league. I don't think they're that great at in like TT res format, because it's maybe a bit too low, and they just don't quite like. I think Bull Centaurs need more than one skill usually to be really exciting.
Well, plus, I think in BB 2020, I think the break tackle nerf really hits them quite hard. Because the Bull Centaurs rely on that so much for mobility.
I'm not sure. I still think there'll be a good team, in 2020 in long-term leagues.
They're still a solid team, but it's a combination of the break tackle nerf, the claw nerf, piling on away. I mean, those were kind of some of their biggest tools. So, I think definitely they lost some power.
Okay, and perhaps we shouldn't be surprised that... did I mention... Yeah, I did mention you got a point last round, yeah. And the winners this round is Ethelred, Nibnan, Danton again. So you're up to 5.
I'm better betting on Ethel's deal than my own one.
Although unfortunately, Nibnan, who's out in front, is also not doing too badly in this one as well. And Galentia gets a point as well, so up to 6. And that's it. Okay, cool. I went for a draw because I thought they could hold them off. Looking at in hindsight, it looks like a terribly silly idea, but so it goes. Next game is Raven 1840 against. I've
87. So this was. Was this Rats against Dark Elves?
Yes, the BB Skitters OCC. Is it? Wait, is this not? Yes,
BM
rats.
Skitters.
Yeah, there you go. BM Skitters against Star Trekkies with JT Kirk. What's his? He's Tiberius. I know the T is Tiberius. I can't remember what the J is.
James.
James. There we go. James Tiberius Kirk getting the MVP. Any idea why?
No, I mean, typically in the matchup, I like Dark Elves against Skaven. I think they have a lot of tools to deal with Skaven. So yeah, I mean, I have no idea about the relative strength of each coach, but matchup wise, I mean, you know, Dark Elves I think are generally favored at this, especially at this TV level. But yeah, I mean, they obviously, I mean, it looks like they dominated, getting 3 touchdowns to 1. So yeah.
It wasn't on removals though. So I mean, they killed a lineman, and they MNG'd a lineman with block tackle. A gutter runner scored 1 touchdown. They made a pass with the thrower. There's a rat ogre on this team. The rats were slightly lower TV, so I guess I don't know what they got for inducements.
The rat ogre can be obviously useful in this matchup. I think rat ogre is a lot more useful against agi teams than against bash teams. But obviously, you know, it's a wild animal, so it's not particularly reliable. I mean, generally high TV Skaven or Skaven above 1500 would rather have like a, you know, a claw, mighty blow piling on blitzer or storm vermin than the rat ogre. But,
I mean, that's
good,
that's the problem, isn't it? That basically the rat ogre steals blitzes that the storm vermin would be getting SPP from.
Yeah, I like the rat ogre on a starting rat team. The kind of you know, I think it's useful at 1000 TV, but I think once you get above sort of 1500, the rat ogre really starts to lose its value.
I actually think the rat ogre is generally a bad choice, just for what rats want to do, which is run around and be ratty. The rat ogre's doesn't really gel like, very well with that.
But in some matchups, though, I mean, it's movement 6, so it's not slow. And, you know, in some matchups, it does provide, like, for example, against Dark Elves, if you can kind of really kind of get it in, you know, into the thick of things, it's got prehensile tail, so it makes dodging away a bit of a pain, and it can kind of tie players up. At the same time, you know, if you're too aggressive with it, you can get it isolated and get it removed.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy piece to use, but it definitely brings another dimension to the rats kind of arsenal.
I think it gets left behind too much, and the nega trait wild animal, you know, affects what you want to do too much with him.
Yeah.
I just think you know a good storm vermin is so much better. And
so you think it got better or worse in BB 2020?
Oh, it got way better in 2020. It's so much more reliable.
But specifically for Skaven, right? Because you don't have like snotlings that you can.
No, yeah, for Underworld it's great.
Eat it.
For Skaven, I mean, you still like you do get to control it, right? You get to choose whether you're activating it next to someone or not.
Yeah.
So you make that decision, and if you want,
but you are losing your tackle zones is the only thing.
Yeah, that's still often like having a 50-50 to lose your tackle zones or become relevant again is kind of still better than 50-50. You know, wait, sorry, what? You know, yeah, losing tackle zones is not terrible. Yeah, it's not an improvement though, is it? But you know, if it's so important,
I guess it's similar. It's similar to the Crocs, right? Which is another piece, which is Bonehead with prehensile tail, which is, you know, kind of similar in terms of you want to get value out of the prehensile tail, especially against agile teams where you're not so worried about it being sort of blocked back. And that's where the Bonehead, you know, wild animal, if you fail it, you're still keeping the tackle zones, you're still marking people. Whereas, you know, with the what's it called?
Animal savagery.
animal savagery, similar to Bonehead, suddenly you can just release everyone you're marking if you roll a 1 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a choice. I do really like the fact that you can feed it a player and it's suddenly reliable. So I am willing to spend the 50k of a line rat to be.
If you kind of hold, if you can, because one option is maybe keep it in the sort of in the middle, where you can sort of not activate it and keep it in the middle as sort of almost like a wood elf tree, in the it's sort of it's covering part of the pitch, and then if they kind of the opponent breaks through and you have that clutch blitz that you need it definitely to do something, then you can kind of sacrifice a player to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, how easy is a 1-turn now with a gutter runner and a jugs rat ogre that is going to activate? That's,
and it's still a 2+, right? If you're blitzing with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously that's not terrible.
But going back to what actually happened in this game, it looks to me like the rats only controlled the ball for the drive that they received it and scored really quickly, whereas the Dark Elves then, controlled the ball for the rest of the game. I guess was there maybe a blitz in there as well for the rats to only have ball possession for 6% of the game.
Well, I guess it depends whether the rats' drive was their first drive as well or not, right? I mean, I don't know who actually received first.
Yeah. Oh, there was a stab. Oh, the Dark Elves have an assassin. Anyway, and who bet on this? Sorry, we already do the betting.
To be honest, it's probably one of the best matchups to have an assassin in, even though it's obviously not an optimal piece for Dark Elves.
Yeah.
But against Skaven, an assassin is a fun piece to have on the pitch.
I don't think we gave points for this. You, Spider, and Galentio all get points. So you're up to 6.
Yay.
Unfortunately, Spider is now up to 8. And Galentio is up to 7.
Boo. But at least Nibbenen did not get points.
Yeah. Pretty close. Except for Ethelred, who's on 4. Hey! And Keith. But Keith probably hasn't bet on anything except for his own division. Again. And probably not even the whole of that. Anyway, so next game is San Peter's E. Mari di... I don't know how you pronounce Guai in Italian.
Mari di Guai or something like that.
Yeah, possibly.
Is that? I don't know if he's Italian. Is he Italian?
Spikebot thinks he's Italian, so he bought the Italian language version of Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I mean it looks like Italian. I have no idea what it means.
I'm sure we could Google it. Against Bob and the Vincent Price All Stars.
Undead team, right?
Yeah. And the Vincent Price All Stars won 2-0.
Yeah, which is. I mean, I think most of these I bet without really looking at the teams. I mean, Skaven normally is a decent matchup against Undead, but obviously, if the Undead have good, well-developed whites, then they can also do a lot of damage to a Skaven team.
I mean, I don't know about the whites, but the 2 mummies are both pretty well developed.
Typically against Skaven, the mummies don't. I mean, they're obviously still good pieces, but the Skaven being so fast means that they can kind of be left behind as well.
It's the team with the 2 Agi 4 whites. So they both have Tackle Mighty Blow. And
that's all you need. That's all you really need against Skaven. And having Agi 4 obviously is. I mean, I like it on a kill piece sometimes because it means that you can dodge away to blitz things.
Yeah. So his Blodge extra movement sure hands Ghoul got the MVP and scored one of the touchdowns. One of the Agi 4 whites got one of the touchdowns and 3 Kaz, and a mummy and the other white got 2 more Kaz. So I would guess the 5 or 6 Kaz had some bearing on the events of this game. No perms though, a niggle to a line rat who I assume will get fired.
And only Ethelred bet on this.
Yeah, I mean that's only the Rats only got MVP for SVP. That's kind of terrible for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, and also that Ethelred got a point is also terrible. There he goes. Point has been added. There we go. I'll show it too. I need to use, start using shortcuts that don't affect all the programs I'm using at once, not just OBS, because it changes what tab I'm on in everything. Anyway, all right. So one more game? No, two more games. No, one more game. There we are. Almost finished, and that's Ethelred's game. And Ethelred has asked in chat some time ago, what should I buy? I assume that's... Oh, we need to look at the future. I guess that's what we're going to be talking about. So, Ethelred beat the Kislev 2-1. Surprisingly and disappointingly slightly. I didn't see this. I think he streamed it when I was putting my son to bed or something. So I was not available to watch. But I think he did stream it, right? But anyway, Ethelred, Galentio, and Dreamland all bet on him. And I'm guessing from the silence that Danton is indisposed for a second. And Dreamland. Boom. All right. So that is all the points updated for this week as well. So let's. I'm gonna screenshot that and put that on the Discord as well, live and direct or something. There we go. Boom. It's going to be grey and red though. Lol. Done. All right. So now let's look at the coming week. There's already been a game played, so let's ignore that for now. Beauty and the Leap against Chaos Metamorphoso. Eldrir against the Kislev, I'm assuming. Yeah, Rasmo's Kislev, who are still on 1090, but with 9 players. It's actually ridiculously low TV. But anyway, he's got some guard. It's the right team though. So actually 12-10 against Eldrir's full team. So 300k of inducements or so. If you spent the bank. More skills. Chorfs are horrible. I have already picked for Ratamo, which is the Kislev. I'm considering changing my mind, having looked at the teams, but maybe the leaderboard will.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Did you actually go away, or was there a problem?
Yeah, no, my internet crapped out, so I had to switch to 4G.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, you went.
Actually, yeah, I've only got a few minutes anyway before I got to jump into a meeting. So yeah, I'm not sure.
You just dropped out again. I'm guessing. And apparently, sorry, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you say, "Can you hear me?" And then there was silence.
Okay. I mean, maybe my 4G connection is not great.
Yeah. Apparently, I co-hosted the game with that Ethelred streamed. Oh, I vaguely remember it. I can't really remember though. It was ages ago. The one that he won. I can't tell if you're able to talk or not, or if you're just being a bit quieter than usual. But oh well. All right. So let's quickly have a look. So Ratmo, I've gone for Ratmo just because I think he's a better coach. Probably a bad idea considering look at the teams. Balls to the Wall are against Raven, so that's the Nurgle at 1890. Again with a bit of cash to burn, so probably 1870. Big team, though, Jesus. 14 players seems maybe a bit excessive, but I don't know. Against BM Skitters OCC, that's Ravens Rats, who have 11 players, so we'll be getting 300 TV inducements. I'm assuming that'll be a wizard and whatever. I actually went for a draw on this one, but looking at the teams, I think a draw is pretty unlikely in hindsight. But I'll stick with a draw. Everyone else has gone for the Balls to the Waller. I'll stick with a draw just to be, different. Danton's ring went green for a second, but it was quiet. So I'm gonna just barrel on, especially as he has to leave in 5 minutes anyway. So you can interrupt me if you can hear me or want to talk. Obviously. Okay, so the next game is Overlord Argentina against Sampitu. The Orcs against the other Rats. Overlord ARG being 13-player Orcs. Smashing of Guards, smashing of Mighty Blow. I still feel like that. The TV, I don't know, there's a lot of block, I guess. I guess you're playing for the block. I would like to see one card on the Black Orcs though. Against Sampitu and his beaten up Rats. Did one of these get a niggle or has a niggle already? Yeah, this one. Also, Rats. Oh, they got an extra 40k of bank. I'd like to see a wizard here. I've gone for Sampitu. Everyone's gone pretty much evenly for the 3 options of draw or win for Overlord or Sampitu. It's a close one. I think Rats should win by the speed advantage, and being low TV, they should be able to buy more players and have a bit of a bench too. Kronk against Tubrag. So Dark Elves at 1910, which is possibly the highest TV.
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you again, yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I still have my Ethernet cable plugged in, and so I think it was trying to override the 4G with the Ethernet, which isn't working. But yeah, so hopefully it should be better now.
Oh, so you plugged your phone in for the 4G, so you're still talking on a computer.
I'm still on the computer, yeah, but using the tethering for 4G.
Yeah. Cool.
But because I still had the Ethernet cable plugged into the computer, even though I was on Wi-Fi, I think it was kind of conflicting with the Ethernet somehow. Yeah,
no, I think Windows automatically assumes if it's plugged into something, it wants to keep trying that.
Yeah, so
I've had that before.
Exactly. It's like, okay, here's 4G. No, but wait, I've still got Ethernet, but Ethernet doesn't work, you idiot. No, but have 4G. No, but Ethernet. Fuck's sake. Something like that. That's my imaginary conversation that's going on in the processor.
I think I had a problem where even though the internet was not working and I plugged my laptop, my computer into a phone, it refused to look at the phone until I unplugged the cable at all. They just wouldn't even try tethering as long as there was still an internet cable plugged in. Anyway, we've almost got...
Anyway, yeah, let's do it quickly because I've got to jump to a meeting.
I've kind of skipped through to the penultimate game at this point, which is Kronk, the high TV Dark Elves against Tubrag, which is the other Kislev, which is probably the better Kislev because they've got some players at this point, which the other Kislev did not. Although this Kislev team is pretty beaten up. Dark Elves against Kislev. Kislev should be one of those hybrid teams, right? So, and Franco says temperamental machine spirits, which I kind of like the just turn on and off and on again is that whole doesn't actually do anything or shouldn't do anything but works often. Anyway,
yeah, I've gone for a draw on this one. I mean, Dark Elves, I think again, they have a lot of tools to deal with Kislev. So, but
I mean,
you know, like you said, this is probably the better of the Kislev teams. So the Kislev can always cause some problems.
I mean, Kislev as a hybrid team should have advantages over the Agi team of I generally think hybrid teams do well, but obviously Kislev are generally a shit team, which is a problem.
Yeah, they're a shit hybrid team.
Yeah, they're a shit hybrid team, whereas Dark Elves are one of the best, and also most bashy of the elf teams. So, you know, should have the strength normally to deal with hybrid teams. Although having an assassin in your team probably works against that somewhat. So I've gone for Kislev, but also I'm just generally I like Kislev. Anyone who plays Kislev, I'm going to vote. So
you're biased.
Yeah, exactly. We're all biased in our own ways. So last game of the week is Bob.
So I imagine you comment on the anomaly that was Ethelred winning in the first round. So
I watched it and I have no recollection of what happened. I think I've
interesting to see if he can repeat the feat.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've gone for Bob. Just
obviously, I mean, no sane person would bet on Ethelred, even though three people actually have. But you know, we'll see what happens.
I mean, one of them is Ethelred, so you know that doesn't prove anything. Two others,
two sane people, sane people, and Ethelred. Yeah, have bet on
Galentio and Dreamland have gone for Ethelred. I've apparently
I can understand
the previous game out.
I can understand Galentio being sort of one of the newer members of this kind of small community, where you know he's maybe still a little bit of an idealist and doesn't realize exactly how Ethelred approaches the game. But I mean, Dreamland, I'm a bit shocked that he'd go for Ethelred.
Yeah, agreed. Although Bob, I don't know. Yeah. This team, the Agi up mummy, the armor up mummy and the two Agi up whites, and the ordering to freak people out possibly.
Has he got an armor up mummy? Yeah, that's not great.
I mean, against Dark Elves, at least there's no claw. Although, there was a foul in the Ethelred fouled with someone like a positional.
I actually don't. I don't hate taking the move up on the mummy. Obviously, probably not as the first skill because you really need the guard.
Yeah, I mean it's a third skill, so you had guard and stand firm already. So
yeah, I mean I would really like move up then because movement 4 is just a lot better than movement 3, and mummies start to run out of skills after after they've taken kind of guard, stand firm. There's not a lot of other good skills that they can take on normals.
Yeah, I think that logic is partly excuses taking armor as well. Like, you know, they've both got break tackle, which is totally a terrible skill when you're movement 3, and they've both got grab, which is okay and you know pretty good.
But then again, if it was movement 4, then the break tackle gets better.
Yeah, but it's still like I don't think I agree that a bit of movement is better, but I think both armor up and movement are kind of bad choices, but it's a world of bad choices at this point, and for me the better choice would be to fire and rehire one of them earlier than this.
I'd rather have movement 4 than break tackle, for example. Just think it's more it's just more useful. You're covering more of the pitch.
But you know, it's not up to us. I'm sure they might.
I better jump off. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to just wrap it up or
yeah, we're basically done anyway. So I'm just gonna raid someone at this point, as I try and work out who's on, and then raid them.
Cool.
And Trent has explained the reason that the bot that she uses looks in her Discord for people who are in her Discord, and if it says if they are saying they're streaming and they're streaming Blood Bowl, then it does them. So it's because I'm in her Discord.
Right.
Yeah.
Where did she looking at our stream, or where did she explain this?
Oh no, in her Discord. I asked in her Discord about it. Yeah. So people who I'm following, we could do Mr. Page or Eliod. I rated Eliod a lot, so maybe I'll do Mr. Page just for a change.
Sounds good.
No, I'm
anyway,
kidding.
I've got to jump off.
Lol. Okay.
All right,
cool.
man. Have
Cheers,
a good one.
cheers everyone who watched, and thanks for all the comments and stuff, and thank you for, anyone who chatted and whatever.
Yeah.
And thank you to you, Danton, for joining me.
No worries.
Late as always. Lol.
See you around.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're gone. You're free to go to... Oh, you're gone to meeting already. Lol.